My heart is aching, but somehow in all the right places. You made me feel like enough. On the road, I've been away for far too long. But now I'm on my way back home. I hear the west winds calling out my name. They're telling me to head your way, down your road and past your gates. Keep your eyes on the horizon. I was looking to belong when I'd already found my home.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Georgia Vuland, but you can also call me Sally. Anyway, we have recently hit 2,000 subscribers, and I can't tell you how much of a dream come true that really is. Not only for me, but if I were to tell my 10-year-old self that when she was 18 she'd be a YouTube star, that little girl I was wouldn't believe me. That little me has been through so much, and you're gonna see that and feel this through this video. 2,000 subscribers, I know logistically is not a lot, but it's still a really big deal, especially coming from nothing, and I really appreciate you guys. Without further ado, let's jump back 13 years or so and tell the story from the beginning. Ever since I can remember, I've lived with my grandparents in a small little town called 𝕠𝕠𝕠𝕠. My mom had me when she was only 18 and just hung out with the wrong crowd, so she did some bad things and made some bad choices. She ended up going to prison, which is why my grandparents decided to take me in. Both of my parents were either theater or singing professors at the university in 𝕉𝕗𝕗, while I went to the school in 𝕼𝕕𝕚𝕚. Ever since I can remember, I have always loved horses, but where it really started was with my grandmother on the other side of my family. I called her Busha, which is Polish. She asked me if I would like to take a riding lesson right here in 𝕠𝕠𝕠. Of course, my excited little 5-year-old self said yes, and that's where it all began. I can remember my first lesson to this day. It was a 30-year-old off-the-track bay mare. Her name was Autumn. I only rode her once, but I gotta give it to her. I loved her so much. It just lit a spark in me. Like, this is what I wanted to do, and this is where I was meant to be. Now, I know as a 5-year-old, you don't really know what you want to do for the rest of your life, but I've always wanted to be around horses, that's for sure, and I stuck with that. And here we are 13 plus years later. After my first riding lesson, I didn't ride for about another good year or so, because my grandparents were not happy with Busha. They thought the sport was dangerous and I was just too young. But of course I fought that, and I told them I really wanted it, so when I was about 6, they let me give it another try. Going back to a stable called Starwalk, I went right up to the trainer and I asked if I could ride Autumn again, as I loved her the last time, only to find out that I was a little too late. Of course she didn't have the heart to tell me that Autumn passed away. She told me that she went into bigger, better things, but she didn't know that I could see right through her. I ran home crying that night, but the next day I walked up to her again, and my trainer, whose name was Lila at the time, said she had the perfect lesson pony for me. And that's how I met 𝕬𝕗𝕚. Lila taught me so much, from how to walk for the first time and how to trot as well. I was young and inexperienced, but I loved 𝕬𝕗𝕚. He was one of my absolute favorite ponies, and if I could find him and have him for my own from my lesson program, I would snatch him in a heartbeat. That pony got me through some of the hardest things, such as being bullied at school for how skinny I was, and being told that my mom went away yet again. It was really hard, but 𝕬𝕗𝕚 had my back, and Lila would take me out to ride him whenever. And of course Busha would come watch, but that's okay. I love when she would watch me, and I would accomplish something new. I could give my life to that woman for how much she does for me. I definitely wouldn't be here without her. After a good 4 or 5 years of lessons on 𝕬𝕗𝕚 and some other horses, Busha and Lila both thought I was getting old enough and too big for 𝕬𝕗𝕚. I was so sad. This pony was everything to me, but I was about to meet one of the many horses of a lifetime. Lila recommended me to a nearby stables that held lessons and horses for lease, so we started taking lessons at Royal Oak Stables. For my first couple of lessons, which I would have about once a week, I rode this little gray pony named Angel. She got me through the tough part of being at a new barn and feeling like I didn't fit in. I started learning more about my riding at this point and about trotting diagonals and how to change them and how to use my seat and all of that. My trainer at the time, her name was Ashley. She was so sweet and nice, and I really loved her at the time, but I was a little oblivious to some of the things she would do to horses, but back then these things were considered normal in the community. She would put kids on horses that they weren't ready for and have them use draw reins when the horses wouldn't react well. Anyway, a part of all that, she really didn't know what she was doing with the equipment she was using, but I loved her, so I didn't want to think that she would hurt a horse on purpose. About my 5th or 6th lesson in, I was put on a very tall, kind of thin older chestnut mare named Mandy. Now this would be the start of an amazing 2 years together. I started leasing her 6 months into riding her, and she was amazing. I learned how to canter for the first time, and once I learned that, Ashley knew she couldn't stop me. It got to the point where she would look away for 2 minutes and I'd be cantering around bareback with my hands in the air. She envied it though. She knew me and Mandy got along so well. And that was one of the best 2 years of my entire life. There was one day where I did something kind of stupid and I definitely learned my lesson. I had never fallen off before or anything, but my trainer told me never to use a crop on Mandy. I got a pretty new crop for Christmas and I wanted to try it knowing I wasn't supposed to. I got on Mandy, she reared up with me, and I just fell off. Ashley was kind of mad, but she was like, "That was stupid, kid, but I'm glad you learned a lesson and Mandy was the horse to teach you that lesson." I definitely lost a lot of confidence after that. I barely wanted to even get on a horse for about a month, but Ashley helped me through it and I was okay. I eventually was doing the same things with Mandy again, and life was great. When I was about 2 years into riding here at Royal Oak Stables, Ashley had this black and white horse named Rosie. She was notorious for bucking people off when they would try to canter, including me at one point. Ashley was trying to sell her, but was lying about her, saying she never did anything, and this is when I really started to find out that she wasn't the best horse person after all. She was a great person, but lying to sell a horse, Bush and I couldn't deal with it. So we decided to stop leasing Mandy and move to a stable closer to my school. This was Wild Ivy Stables, probably my biggest influence on my equestrian career. I was about 13 years old, which is a crazy time in everyone's life. I was diagnosed with severe depression and anxiety, and I have had issues in the past. I just felt like I was a mistake with how everything went with my mom and just the bullies at school, but this place kept me going because of a very special horse named Tally. I learned how to do everything on Tally, how to fall off a lot, and how to be more confident when I lost it. I even learned how to jump for the first time on Tally. She was my full-time lease horse, and my amazing trainer Cass was so knowledgeable. I owe her the world. She was a really good dressage rider. She knew how to do all these crazy moves on her horse 𝕬𝕬𝕬𝕬. It was insane to watch her. You could just feel a presence of professionalism. When she taught you how to ride, she was tough. She knew when you were ready, whether you thought it or not. And she would tell you if you did it wrong, but I learned so much. I know what you're thinking about Tally, okay? But Tally, your name is Tally. It's because of this horse. I loved her so much. She was one of my favorites for sure. And that's why my nickname is Tally, for those of you who don't know. We even went to shows together at the age from 13 to 15.
Performance. What a performance.
After a few years, Tally retired as she was getting older, and I understood. I still would always go to visit her. I never will forget about her. And I will admit, I was a bit jealous when some of the other little kids would ride her, because she was my horse, my first heart horse. That's when I met Wendell, a 16-year-old 𝕬𝕬𝕬𝕬 gray thoroughbred at my barn that was posted for leads on our little Facebook page. I took the owners up on their offer, and I'm still grateful to have had that opportunity to this day. This was when I was really getting into my show jumping phase. I was a fairly nervous rider, but I would practice and practice, slowly jumping my way to the top. This horse made me feel like I was flying, like nothing else in the world mattered. Then it came finally, our first and unfortunately our final show together. We won 4th place in our jumping round, but during that I felt so free and happy, like nothing was in my way. This horse meant so much to me, and that's when things would start to fall. All I'm gonna say is never fall in love with a horse that isn't yours. Wendell started not eating and standing in the back of his stall where we would find him every morning with a full bucket of grain. I knew something was wrong, so I took him for one of our last rides. In the June of that summer, I saw the post that Wendell was going to be put down due to the cancer in his lips. It was so painful for him, he wouldn't eat and he just turned into a living skeleton. I was just watching him slowly die and disappear. It was literally the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life. My mental health just kind of went down the drain at that point. I was 16 years old at this point, and I was saving up money from the job I had at the time at the small cafe I worked at. I saved up to officially buy my own horse. Busha helped me keep up with him, and I would pay her my share, of course, and me and Malibu became great friends. He wasn't the greatest horse in the beginning. He would rear and try to get me off, but we worked through it. I didn't have a $100,000 show jumper, so I made one. We did eventing shows all around the area for the rest of my teenage years. We had a blast. We went all the way to the top with each other. We were looked at as a state champion. Malibu and I were at our big show, and on our last jump, I didn't even know what happened, but we landed and all I remember is falling to the ground and opening my eyes and seeing my horse on one knee, not able to stand up. It was all in the newspapers of the champion who had fallen. I was a spotlight to a lot of online bullying at the time, and people told me I put him in danger and all of the above. That's when I decided I didn't want to really focus on showing anymore. After lots of vet bills and saving up, I was about 20 to 21 at this point, and I found a place for sale. It used to be known as Steve's Farm, where he had cows and some horses, but I've had a long time dream of working with horses for a living, and that's when I opened my lovely facility, Hooves for Hope. My mission after Wild Ivy was to save and rescue horses that needed my help. It's all I wanted to do. So that's how I founded Hooves for Hope. Malibu came with me, of course, and as I grew over the years, I decided, as you know, for Malibu to go to the 𝓃𝕠𝕠𝕜 Island retirement facility he is at now, so I can have the utmost room for horses to rescue, and also he can be in a place to live out the rest of his days. Of course I go see him though, don't worry. I just want to say thank you so much for watching my story. Hope it was entertaining enough, but here we are at Hooves for Hope facility and where it is now. I'm so glad to be able to have the knowledge I have and be able to train horses in such an ethical way. Again, thank you so much for 2,000 subscribers. I just can't believe we've gotten this far, and I can't wait to see where we go from here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!
After year